It was late Friday afternoon, the sky streaked with orange and purple as the sun lowered behind the rooftops. The grocery store on the corner was winding down from its rush, the aisles quieter now except for the faint hum of the coolers and the distant beep of a scanner. Aaron Mitchell, a 34-year-old single father, was pushing a cart with one hand while his other gently held his daughter's small hand. 6-year-old Nora walked beside him, her light blue backpack swaying with each step. Grocery shopping wasn't her favorite activity, but Aaron always made it into a little adventure, letting her choose which cereal to get or which apples looked the best. Today, though, she was too tired to care much. They rolled into the checkout line and picked the one that seemed shortest. Behind the register stood a young woman, maybe in her mid-20s, with dark blonde hair pulled into a loose ponytail. Her name tag read, Samantha. She greeted them with a polite smile, but Aaron noticed something unusual almost immediately. Her hands were shaking as she lifted each item to scan it. At first, he figured maybe she was cold. The store's air conditioning always blasted strong, even when the weather outside was cool. But the trembling was too pronounced, and it didn't stop. She nearly dropped the carton of eggs, whispering a quick, "Sorry," in a voice so soft it almost disappeared. Aaron leaned slightly forward, keeping his tone calm so Nora wouldn't pick up on any concern. "Are you okay? Your hands, they're shaking." Samantha's eyes flickered upward, startled, as if she hadn't expected anyone to notice. She gave a faint smile that didn't reach her eyes. "It's fine," she murmured, her tone light but unconvincing. Aaron didn't buy it. He knew too well the look of someone saying, "I'm fine," when they weren't. He'd worn that expression himself for years after his wife walked away, leaving him to raise Nora alone while working whatever jobs he could find to keep the lights on. Nora tugged at his sleeve and pointed at the gum display near the counter. Aaron added a pack to their groceries with a smile, but his eyes stayed on Samantha. The tremors in her hands weren't stopping, in fact, they seemed worse. "You sure you're all right?" Aaron asked again, gently persistent. "You look like you've been through something today." Her scanning slowed. She glanced around as though making sure no one else was paying attention. Then she lowered her voice. I haven't eaten since yesterday morning." Aaron froze. "Since yesterday?" She nodded quickly, almost ashamed. "It's fine. I'm just saving what I have for my little brother." The word struck him deep. He could instantly imagine it, working long hours, skipping her own meals so her sibling wouldn't go without. It was a scene far too familiar to him. "What's his name?" Aaron asked softly. "Eli," she said. "He's 10. Our parents aren't in the picture anymore. It's just the two of us now." Aaron swallowed hard. He remembered nights when he'd quietly gone without dinner so Nora could have enough, the weight of wondering if he'd make rent while still trying to keep her world as normal as possible. The customer behind him sighed loudly, urging the line to move. Samantha quickly finished scanning the items, blinking back what looked like tears. Aaron swiped his card but hesitated before pressing the final button. "Can you do me a favor? Ring up another cart, fill it with whatever you and Eli need." Her eyes widened. "I can't let you." "You can," he said firmly but kindly. "Nobody should have to go to bed hungry. Not you, not him." Her trembling now seemed mixed with something else, emotion, relief, maybe even disbelief. "Why would you do that? You don't even know me." Aaron met her gaze. "Because once, someone helped me when I didn't think I deserved it. And it changed everything." She didn't answer right away, torn between pride and need, but Aaron could see a flicker of hope in her expression. As they headed toward the exit, Nora looked up at him sleepily. "Daddy, is that lady going to be okay?" Aaron didn't answer, not yet. But deep down, he knew he wasn't walking away from this. Something told him Samantha's story was only beginning, and somehow, he was about to become part of it. Aaron drove home that evening with Samantha's words replaying in his mind. The image of her trembling hands and the quiet shame in her voice gnawed at him. Nora, already half asleep in the back seat, clutched her little stuffed fox, unaware of the weight her father was carrying in his thoughts. They got home, unpacked the groceries, and Aaron made a quick dinner, grilled cheese and tomato soup, Nora's favorite. She ate quietly, her eyelids drooping. After tucking her into bed with a goodnight kiss, Aaron sat at the kitchen table, staring at his phone. He had Samantha's name. He had the store's number. And though it wasn't exactly his business, something inside him wouldn't let it go. He picked up the phone and called, asking the manager if Samantha worked again tomorrow. "Yeah," the man replied. "Opening shift." "Why? Is there a problem?" "No problem," Aaron said quickly. "Just wanted to know." The next morning, he made sure Nora was set with a playdate at a friend's house, then drove back to the store. In the trunk of his car was a large empty cart, ready for what he had in mind. When he walked in, Samantha was there at the register, her hair pulled back the same way, but she looked even paler than yesterday. The dark circles under her eyes were faint but telling. She blinked in surprise when she saw him. "Morning," Aaron said warmly, rolling a cart toward her. "I'm here for that favor I mentioned." She shook her head, almost reflexively. "I can't." "You can," he interrupted gently. "Come on. Just humor me. It'll take 15 minutes. Her lips pressed into a thin line, but something in his steady, patient expression made her give in. She called over another cashier to cover her register, and they started down the aisles together. At first, Samantha reached for the cheapest things, store-brand pasta, a single loaf of bread, peanut butter that looked like it had been on the shelf for months. Aaron noticed and began swapping them for larger, better quality items. She protested every time. "You don't need to get this much. It's too expensive," she muttered. "This isn't about what I need," he replied. "It's about what you and Eli need." Halfway through, she stopped and looked at him seriously. "Why are you doing this? You don't even know us." "I'm just a cashier you met once." Aaron took a breath. "When Nora was 3, I lost my job. My wife had already left by then. I was weeks away from losing our apartment. One night, I went to a small diner, counting change to see if I could afford a cup of soup. The waitress, she didn't know me, slipped a bag of groceries into my car when I wasn't looking. No note, no name. I never saw her again. But it kept us going until I found my footing." Samantha's gaze softened, her eyes glistening. She looked like she wanted to say something but didn't know how. They continued shopping in silence until the cart was nearly overflowing. When they reached the checkout, Samantha tried to thank him, but Aaron shook his head. "No thanks needed. Just promise me you'll eat something today." She gave a small, almost shy smile. "I will." As Aaron loaded the bags into her old, faded sedan, he noticed the back seat was cluttered with school supplies, worn jackets, and a small pair of sneakers that had clearly seen better days. Samantha stood there awkwardly, her arms crossed, as if unsure whether to hug him or just say goodbye. "You really don't know what this means to me," she said finally. "I have a pretty good idea," Aaron replied. She hesitated before adding, "If you ever have time, maybe, you could come by and meet Eli. He'd probably like you. He doesn't meet a lot of people who care." Aaron smiled faintly. "I'd like that." As he drove away, he realized this wasn't over. Something in his gut told him that helping her wasn't just a one-time act, it was the beginning of something much bigger, something that might change all of their lives. It was the following Saturday when Aaron pulled his old Chevy into a quiet neighborhood on the far edge of town. The houses here were smaller, with peeling paint and yards in need of mowing. He double-checked the scrap of paper Samantha had given him with her address, then parked in front of a small, weathered duplex. He'd told Nora they were going to meet some new friends, and she had been excited all morning. She skipped along beside him up the cracked walkway, her small hand tucked in his. When Samantha opened the door, she looked surprised but happy to see them. Her hair was loose today, and though she still looked tired, there was a light in her face that hadn't been there at the store. "You actually came," she said with a hint of disbelief. "I said I would," Aaron replied. "This is my daughter, Nora." Nora waved shyly, and Samantha stepped aside to let them in. The living room was small but neat, furnished with second-hand pieces that didn't quite match. A couple of framed photos sat on a shelf, a much younger Samantha holding a boy with the same sandy brown hair. "Eli's in his room," Samantha said. She turned her head toward the hallway. "Eli. We have visitors." A moment later, a boy appeared, barefoot and wearing a faded superhero t-shirt. He looked wary at first, glancing between Aaron and Nora. "Hey, buddy," Aaron said warmly. "Your sisters told me a little about you." Eli shrugged in that way kids do when they're not sure how to respond. But when Nora grinned and pulled a small toy car out of her pocket, his expression softened. Soon the two of them were sitting on the floor, racing the car back and forth while Aaron and Samantha talked. As they chatted, Aaron couldn't help noticing the little signs of struggle, a refrigerator with just a few items inside, bills stacked neatly on the counter, shoes with worn soles by the door. He didn't point any of it out, but it painted a clear picture. Samantha explained more of their story in a quiet voice while the kids played. "Our mom passed away when I was 19. Dad, well, he took off a few years earlier. I was in community college at the time, but I dropped out to take care of Eli. We've been on our own ever since." Aaron listened, his chest tightening. "That's a lot to carry at your age." She gave a small, humorless laugh. "It's been rough. But I can't let him see me break. If he thinks I'm okay, then he'll feel safe." Aaron glanced toward the kids, who were now laughing over an elaborate track they'd built from couch cushions. "You're doing a good job," he said sincerely. She looked at him for a moment, almost as if she were checking to see if he really meant it. "Some days, it doesn't feel like it." They spent the afternoon talking, and before leaving, Aaron slipped a grocery gift card onto the kitchen counter. Samantha tried to protest, but he held up a hand. "No arguments. It's for Eli." When they finally said goodbye, Eli surprised him by giving him a quick hug. "Thanks for coming," the boy said quietly. Driving home, Nora chattered about how Eli's the best at building cart tracks and we should go back soon. Aaron just smiled, but inside, he felt something settling, a certainty that this wasn't just a casual visit. This was the start of something that would tie their lives together in ways none of them could yet see. 2 weeks later, Aaron was finishing dinner with Nora when his phone buzzed. The caller ID showed Samantha's number. He answered, but instead of her usual steady tone, her voice was shaky and rushed. "Aaron. I'm so sorry to call you like this, but I don't know what else to do." Immediately, his posture straightened. "What happened?" She took a breath, but her words came fast. "I was supposed to get my paycheck today, but there was a payroll error. They said it'll be fixed in a week, but my landlord, he's already on me about rent. I used the last of my cash for Eli's school supplies, and now," she stopped abruptly, and Aaron could hear the weight of embarrassment in her silence. "You don't have to finish," Aaron said gently. "Where are you right now?" "At home," she whispered. "But, the power company just shut off our electricity. Eli's in the living room trying to do homework with a flashlight. I told him it's just a temporary thing, but..." Her voice broke, and she didn't finish the sentence. Aaron looked over at Nora, who was quietly coloring at the table. "I'll be there in 20 minutes, he said without hesitation. The drive to Samantha's place felt longer than it should have. By the time he pulled up, dusk had settled over the street, and her windows glowed faintly from the flicker of a small battery lantern. When she opened the door, she looked exhausted, like she'd been holding herself together for hours and was seconds away from falling apart. Eli sat on the couch, pretending to be fine, but Aaron caught the way his eyes lit up when he saw him. Aaron stepped inside and set a grocery bag on the counter. Inside was a hot meal from a nearby diner, a pack of candles, and a portable phone charger. Samantha stared at the bag for a moment, her lips pressing together. "You didn't have to." "Yes, I did," he said simply. "And I'm not leaving you in the dark, literally or otherwise." After they ate, Aaron called the power company himself, explaining the situation. He paid the overdue bill on the spot, even though Samantha tried to stop him. "Consider it a loan," he told her. "We'll figure out the details later." Her shoulders sagged with relief, but she still looked uneasy. "I don't want you to think I'm taking advantage of you." Aaron shook his head. "I think you're doing the best you can in a really hard situation. That's not something I judge." Eli came over then, holding the flashlight like it was a magic wand. "Mr. Aaron, when the lights come back on, can we all have ice cream?" Aaron smiled. "Absolutely." When the lamps flickered to life a few minutes later, Eli let out a cheer. Samantha's eyes met Aaron's, and for a moment, she didn't try to hide the gratitude there. As Aaron drove home later with Nora sleeping in the back seat, he realized he wasn't just helping because it felt right. He was invested now, deeply. And that scared him almost as much as it comforted him. The following month brought cooler weather, and with it, a sense of stability. Samantha's paycheck issues were resolved, Eli was thriving in school, and Aaron had become a regular presence at their home. Sometimes it was just dropping off groceries or giving Samantha a ride to work, other times it was staying for dinner while the kids played. But one Friday afternoon, everything changed. Aaron was at work when he got a call from the elementary school's main office. The secretary's voice was urgent. "Mr. Mitchell. We have Samantha's brother, Eli, here. His sister hasn't come to pick him up, and we can't reach her." Aaron's heart skipped. "I'll be there in 10 minutes." When he arrived, Eli sat on a bench, clutching his backpack. His face lit up when he saw Aaron, but there was worry in his eyes. "Samantha never came. I tried calling her, but..." Aaron crouched down. "It's okay, buddy. We'll figure it out." After signing Eli out, Aaron tried calling Samantha's phone repeatedly. No answer. He drove straight to her apartment, Eli sitting quietly in the passenger seat. When they pulled up, the front door was slightly ajar. Aaron's pulse quickened. "Stay here," he told Eli, stepping inside. The place was dim, quiet, until he saw her. Samantha was sitting on the kitchen floor, leaning against the cabinets. Her apron from work was still on, but her face was pale, her hands trembling worse than the day they met. "Aaron?" Her voice was weak, barely above a whisper. He knelt beside her. "What happened?" "I didn't eat all day again," she admitted, shame flooding her expression. "I was trying to stretch what we had, and then I got dizzy at work. My manager sent me home. I guess I passed out here." Aaron felt a swell of frustration, not at her, but at the situation. "You can't keep doing this to yourself, Sam. You can't help Eli if you run yourself into the ground." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I'm just so scared of not having enough. If I eat less, it feels like I'm making sure he has more." He took her hand firmly. "You've been surviving, not living. You're not alone anymore. Do you understand that?" She looked at him, eyes wide and vulnerable, as though she wanted to believe him but had forgotten how. Just then, Eli appeared in the doorway, his voice trembling. "Samantha. Are you okay?" Samantha wiped her face quickly and forced a smile. "Yeah, buddy. I'm okay now." Aaron helped her to the couch, then went to the kitchen. Within minutes, he was cooking the pasta they'd bought weeks ago. He made her eat a plate before saying another word. After dinner, with Eli in his room drawing, Aaron sat across from Samantha. I'm serious, Sam. I'm here for both of you. But you've got to let me be. No more skipping meals. No more going silent when things get bad. Deal? Her lips trembled, but she nodded. Deal. And in that quiet moment, Aaron knew this wasn't just about helping a struggling cashier anymore. Somewhere along the way, they'd become a family, just not in the traditional sense. Yet. The weeks that followed were different. Samantha began to accept Aaron's help without protest, though it took time for her to shake the habit of insisting she was fine. Aaron, for his part, learned to step in before pride could stop her from asking. One snowy Saturday morning, Aaron invited Samantha and Eli over for breakfast. Nora had insisted on making pancakes for everyone, and the kitchen was filled with the smell of syrup and cinnamon. As they all sat together at the table, Aaron noticed something new. Samantha was laughing freely, her shoulders no longer hunched from invisible weight. Eli was trading jokes with Nora, their voices blending like they'd known each other forever. After breakfast, the kids bundled up and ran outside to build a snow fort. Samantha lingered in the kitchen, cradling a mug of coffee. "You've done more for us than you realize," she said quietly. Aaron shook his head. "I didn't do it to be thanked." "I know," she replied, a small smile tugging at her lips. "That's why it means so much. I spent years thinking it was me and Eli against the world. But you've shown me, it doesn't have to be that way." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Snow fell softly outside the window, and the sound of children's laughter drifted in. Then Samantha added, almost shyly, "You asked me once why my hands were shaking that day. I told you the truth, but what I didn't say was how close I was to giving up. Not on Eli, but on believing that people cared. That's why your kindness hit me so hard." Aaron felt something tighten in his chest. "Well, I'm glad I was there that day." Samantha nodded, eyes glistening. "Me too. You didn't just help us, you reminded me that good people still exist. And maybe, that I deserve good things, too." The front door burst open, and the kids rushed in, cheeks pink from the cold, demanding hot chocolate. The room filled with warmth again, the kind that had nothing to do with the heater. Aaron looked around, the mismatched mugs, the wet boots by the door, the pile of scarves on the chair, and realized this was the life he wanted. Not perfect. Not polished. But real. Later that evening, after Samantha and Eli left, Nora hugged her dad and whispered, "She smiles more now, Daddy. I think it's because of you." Aaron hugged her back, his throat tight. "Maybe it's because of all of us." And in that quiet truth, he knew that sometimes the most important connections aren't the ones we plan, they're the ones we stumble into, at a grocery store checkout, on an ordinary day, when someone's hands are shaking and you decide not to look away.